Ever step off a plane and feel like you've been transported to another world? That was us, 2 weeks ago, fresh off the flight in Bali, sweating and grinning at the airport. I'm Lily, and joining me is my travel buddy, Chloe.
Hi everyone! Oh my gosh, Lily, that first blast of warm, humid air, it hit me right away. I instantly felt like it was summer, like the whole island was just waiting for us to explore.
Today, we're taking you inside our Bali adventure. Not just the beaches, but the surprises, culture, and a few close calls. We'll share what hit us at first sight, how we picked Ubud, and some stories about Bali's wild traffic and hidden gems.
Get ready for the sounds, sights, and even a few mishaps plus. We'll give you practical tips in case you want to plan your own trip. So, let's start with those first, unforgettable moments landing in Bali.
Landing at Ngurah Rai Airport, it felt almost unreal. The runway is so close to the ocean that you actually see the waves as you're touching down.
That view blew me away. And right after we got off the plane, it was like bam! Instantly hot and sticky, but in a way that made me want to kick off my shoes and find the nearest beach.
I was already picturing myself with a coconut in hand. But before any of that, we had to brave customs, which actually went pretty smoothly.
I noticed right away that everyone working at the airport smiled a lot. That friendliness set the tone for the whole trip. It just made me feel welcome.
There's something wild about that first breath of tropical air. It's heavy, but it also smells a little sweet. Did you expect it to be so humid, Chloe?
Honestly, not that much. I knew Bali would be sunny, but I didn't realize how the humidity would make it feel even hotter. My hair went crazy within minutes.
Same. I ended up pulling mine back almost right away. I kind of liked it though, the way the air felt on my skin was so different from home.
It took maybe a day to get used to, but after that, I started loving how alive everything felt. Like, even the plants seemed happier there.
Let's talk about that first taxi ride. I have never seen so many motorbikes zipping between cars. Sometimes it felt like we were in a video game.
It was honestly a little scary at first. The way everyone weaved around each other, and even whole families riding on a single scooter. But our driver seemed so relaxed.
He kept smiling in the rearview mirror while honking just enough to let people know he was there. It was chaos, but like, friendly chaos.
Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that this was just daily life here. Somehow, it all worked, even if my heart was pounding the whole way to the hotel.
What really got me on that ride was the warmth, not just the weather, but the people. Every time we made eye contact with someone, they smiled back.
I felt that too. I expected polite service, but not that kind of genuine friendliness. Even people on the street waved at us. It just made everything feel more relaxed.
It made me want to learn more about the culture and why hospitality feels so central there. It set such a positive tone for the rest of our trip.
That openness really made even a new, unfamiliar place feel a bit like home, right from the start.
So, why did we pick Ubud as our first stop? I remember us poring over maps and travel blogs, trying to decide.
It was always described as the heart of Bali, lush, green, and full of culture. I was drawn to all the pictures of rice fields and temples.
Plus, Ubud seemed quieter than the beach towns. After a long flight, I wanted that peaceful vibe to get into vacation mode.
And we definitely got that. It felt like we'd stepped into a jungle painting. So green, with little offerings on every doorstep.
Arriving in Ubud, I couldn't get over how many shades of green there were. The trees, the rice paddies, it all looked almost too perfect.
Right? Even just driving in, I kept pointing out monkeys on the side of the road. There were flowers everywhere, and you could hear frogs at night.
And the air felt cleaner too. Less exhaust, more fresh plant smells. I felt like I could breathe deeper there.
Exactly. Even the sounds were different. Roosters in the morning and all sorts of insects after dark. It made me realize how far we'd come from the city noise.
Our hotel in Ubud was so charming. Remember the welcome drink? That icy tamarind juice was life-changing after the hot taxi ride.
Seriously. And our room had that little balcony overlooking a rice field. I spent so much time out there just watching the farmers work.
There was something about waking up to a view of greenery instead of buildings. It just made mornings feel special.
And the hotel staff knew our names by day 2. That personal touch made it feel more like staying with friends than at a hotel.
Let's talk food. Our very first meal in Bali, what stood out most for you?
That spicy sambal sauce. I thought I could handle heat, but wow. My favorite was the nasi campur rice with all those little side dishes.
I loved the freshness of everything, from the veggies to the fish. And all those tropical fruits, mangoes, papayas, dragon fruit for breakfast.
I had never tried snake fruit before. It looked weird, but tasted so good. And the way people eat outdoors, surrounded by nature, added to the whole experience.
Figuring out transport was an adventure in itself. We thought about renting scooters, but honestly, the traffic scared me off.
Same here. We ended up using those local ride apps, which was super affordable and easy. It let us relax and just take in the sights.
And sometimes we'd just walk around Ubud, stopping at tiny shops or watching ceremonies we stumbled upon by accident.
Those walks led us to some of our best discoveries, like that hidden cafe with the treehouse seating. Getting lost is kind of part of the Bali experience.
What surprised you most about Ubud's culture, Chloe? For me, it was how spiritual everyday life felt.
Me too! The little daily offerings kanang sari on every doorstep, the smell of incense in the morning. It made the whole place feel sacred, but also very alive.
And there's art everywhere, from colorful paintings to wood carvings. I loved watching artists work right in their studios.
It's like creativity flows through everything: music, dance, even the way food is arranged. There's this sense that beauty matters here.
No trip is perfect, though. Remember when we got caught in that sudden downpour with no umbrella?
We were soaked instantly. But then a local family waved us under their porch, handed us tea, and chatted until the rain stopped. It turned a mishap into a favorite memory.
That kindness really stuck with me. And it happened more than once, like when we got lost and a shopkeeper drew us a map on a napkin.
It's those unexpected little moments that made Bali feel so special. Even the mishaps turned into stories we'll tell for years.
Looking back, what do you think makes Bali different from other places we visited?
I think it's the combination of natural beauty, deep culture, and how genuinely welcoming the people are. It feels like there's a heartbeat to the island.
For me, it's how Bali invites you to slow down and pay attention to nature, to rituals, to the simple joys. It's hard not to carry a little of that home with you.
I love that. And I left thinking I want to come back not just to see more, but to reconnect with that feeling.
Let's wrap up with our top 3 takeaways. First, Bali's warmth goes beyond the weather. The friendliness of the people shapes every experience.
Second, don't underestimate the power of nature there. From vibrant rice fields to sudden tropical storms, the landscape is truly unforgettable.
And third, embracing a slower, more mindful pace helps you soak in Bali's unique spirit and culture. Every day feels like a discovery.
If you're thinking about visiting, here's our tip. Start in Ubud to experience that cultural heart. And don't be afraid to wander off the main path. It's where the best stories happen.
Thanks for joining us on this Bali journey. We hope you're inspired to plan your own adventure. Until next time, take care and keep exploring. Picture this. You're standing in front of endless green hills, and the whole place looks like a giant lush carpet. There's just something magical about Tegalalang Rice Terrace.
Totally! My first thought was how insanely green everything was. But then, I realized, if you want to explore, you've got to tackle those endless stairs. My legs were burning after just a few minutes.
I know the feeling. I almost slipped in the mud because I was staring at the view instead of watching my step.
Oh, that mud was everywhere. I remember my shoes looked like they'd been dipped in chocolate by the time we reached the top. But honestly, it was worth it for that view.
Those stairs were no joke. It felt like every time I thought we'd made it, there was another set hiding behind a corner.
Right. I probably counted at least 100 steps. But when you finally got to that little platform, the view was just breathtaking, like layers of green waves.
And the way the light bounces off those terraces, it makes every photo look unreal, almost like you're standing inside a painting.
That's the perfect way to describe it, like being inside a painting. Even the air felt fresher up there.
Speaking of fresh air, I also remember how slippery those paths were. Every step was like a little adventure, one wrong move, and boom, muddy jeans.
The mud definitely kept things interesting. There was this one spot where my foot sank in much deeper than I expected. I just hope nobody was filming that moment.
For me, the mud made it feel real, like we weren't just tourists, but actually part of nature for a bit.
Exactly. And there's something fun about getting a little messy, especially somewhere as beautiful as Tegalalang.
Now, the highlight for me was absolutely the Bali swing. When I sat on that giant swing, I thought, okay, this is either going to be amazing or terrifying.
I get it. The view from up there is wild, but the height can really mess with your stomach. My hands were gripping those ropes so tight, I thought I'd leave permanent marks.
The weird thing is, I felt nervous at first, but once you start swinging, it's this rush like flying over a sea of green.
And every time you come back, there's someone cheering you on and clicking non-stop photos. It makes you feel like a superstar.
Honestly, the photos from that swing are some of my favorites. The terrace stretches out in the background and you just look kind of fearless.
I love scrolling back through those pictures. And the way the sunlight hits the green fields, it makes everything pop, no filter needed.
Plus, it's a memory you can literally relive. Every time I see that photo, I remember how my heart was racing.
It's such a cool way to remember the trip. I think everyone should try it at least once, even if they're nervous.
What really struck me was just how green everything was. It's the sort of color that makes you feel calm and a little bit alive.
That shade of green is unreal. It's like nature turned up the saturation, and when you're standing there, it feels like you're wrapped in this living blanket.
I wanted to bottle that feeling and bring it home. Every direction you looked, there was something beautiful.
And it's such a different kind of beauty from a city park. Everything there just feels wilder and more alive.
You know, even with all the tourists, there were pockets of total quiet. Sometimes you'd just stand still and hear nothing but the wind and birds.
Those quiet moments were my favorite. Just green fields, nature sounds, and time to breathe. It's rare to find that kind of peace.
If I ever go back, I want to just sit on the steps and soak it all in for longer.
Same here. It's a reminder to slow down and just be present for a little while.
Switching gears for a second, do you remember the monkey forest nearby? Those monkeys were wild, not shy at all.
Absolutely! One of them tried to snatch my sunglasses. I had to hold onto my bag like it was treasure.
It's surreal seeing them just hanging out in the trees, not worried about the people below.
They definitely add a sense of adventure to the whole visit. You never quite know what they'll do next.
What's funny is, you go from these perfect green terraces to a forest where monkeys rule the place. It's like nature showing off two sides at once.
I actually like that contrast. A calm, beautiful view one minute, and then total monkey chaos the next. Keeps you on your toes.
It's also a reminder that the landscape is home for so many creatures, not just a pretty backdrop for our photos.
Exactly. It's their world, and we're just visitors for a day.
Back to those stairs for a second, I realized they actually force you to slow down and really take in the view. There's no rushing at Tegalalang.
That's so true. Every step makes you pause, look around, maybe catch your breath. It sort of turns the climb into part of the adventure.
And after you finally reach the top, that feeling of accomplishment just adds to the beauty.
Plus, you feel like you've earned those incredible photos, mud and all.
One thing I noticed was how every little detail stood out: the patterns in the rice, the dragonflies, even the sound of water trickling down the slopes.
Those tiny touches bring the place to life. I especially loved spotting the little frogs hiding in the grass, or watching the farmers work in the fields.
It makes you appreciate all the hard work behind that perfect view. The stairs, the mud, the wildlife, it's all part of the story.
And it reminds you that nature is always changing, never staying the same from one visit to the next.
Trips like this always remind me that the best views usually involve a little bit of effort. Stairs, mud, maybe a wild animal or two.
But that's what makes the memories stick. If everything was easy, it wouldn't feel as special. Even my muddy shoes became a kind of souvenir.
And when you finally stop and look back, you realize the challenge was half the fun.
Totally. And next time I see a photo of Tegalalang, I'll remember every step and every monkey.
Out of curiosity, did you pick up any new words while we were there? I found myself saying green and beautiful about 100 times.
Nature was a big one for me, just because it sums up the whole experience. And of course, stairs. I'll never forget those.
I also used view way more than usual. It's amazing how the right word can totally capture a moment.
That's true. The vocabulary just flows when you're surrounded by something so inspiring.
Now that we're home, what's the first thing you tell people about the rice terraces? For me, it's always the view and that feeling of being wrapped in green.
I always talk about the stairs and the sense of adventure, and the Bali swing people love hearing about that.
And I keep telling friends, you don't really get it until you see it in person. Photos just can't do it justice.
Absolutely. It's one of those rare places that sticks with you long after you leave.
So, looking back, here are my 3 big takeaways. First, nature's beauty is even better when you work for it, mud and stairs included. Second, sometimes the best memories are the little surprises, like monkeys or tiny frogs. And third, the right words really help you capture those moments.
Couldn't agree more. If you get the chance, my advice is to pick a place with a view. Take your time through every step, no rushing, and really let it all sink in. Snap that swing photo, but don't forget to just look around and enjoy the green.
Thanks for joining us on today's adventure. Whether you're planning a trip or just dreaming of somewhere beautiful, remember to get outside and notice the details.
We'll be back next time with more stories and tips. Until then, keep exploring and find your own nature moment, stairs, mud, and all.
Ever get that feeling where you only need a single word to make your stomach growl? I can't stop craving those Indonesian dishes we tried.
Seriously, just remembering them makes me hungry. By the way, hi everyone, I'm Chloe, and today I'm with Lily to dive deep into Indonesian food favorites.
If you've ever wondered what makes Indonesian street food unforgettable, you're in for a treat. We're breaking down our top picks, must-know vocab, and some hidden secrets behind the dishes.
Stick around. We'll share what nasi and mie actually mean, explore the magic of warung, and decode why spicy, cheap, and delicious are words you need to know for your next food adventure.
Let's not waste time, Lily. You said nasi goreng was your favorite. What makes it so special?
It's the combination. The rice is smoky and a bit spicy, and nearly every plate comes topped with a perfectly runny fried egg. That first bite with the egg yolk mixing into the rice, unbeatable.
Totally agree. It's like comfort food but with a kick. The flavors are bold, and it somehow feels both familiar and exotic.
I noticed you gravitated towards Sate Ayam. What was the hook for you?
That peanut sauce. It's creamy but also a bit sweet and spicy. The chicken is grilled over charcoal, so it gets that amazing smoky flavor. It's simple, but every piece on the stick is packed with taste.
Definitely. And there's something fun about eating food right off a skewer. It turns dinner into an experience.
Let's clear up some vocabulary. Nasi and mie pop up everywhere on menus there. Did you figure out what they actually mean?
Yeah, nasi means rice. So nasi goreng is literally fried rice. And mie is noodles. So mie goreng is fried noodles. Makes ordering a lot easier, right?
For sure. Once you know those two, half the menu suddenly makes sense.
Speaking of menus, most of our favorites came from these tiny local places, warungs. How would you describe a warung to someone who's never been?
Imagine a super casual, family-run spot, sometimes just a few plastic chairs and a smoky grill. It's not fancy, but the food is homemade and you get a real taste of local life.
Plus, the prices. You could feast for just a couple of dollars. That's where cheap really matters in the best way.
We can't skip over spice. How spicy did you find the food overall?
Some dishes brought the heat, especially if you ask for pedicers, that means spicy. But even the milder plates had layers of flavor, not just burn your mouth heat.
True, and you can usually customize. I loved being able to ask for just a little sambal chili on the side.
It's wild how rice appears in almost every meal. Did you feel like it was just expected to have rice with everything?
Absolutely. Even when you order chicken, fish, or vegetables, there's a mountain of rice right there. It's like the anchor of the plate.
And it's never boring. Sometimes it's fried, sometimes steamed, sometimes even wrapped in banana leaves.
I noticed chicken was everywhere, especially in the satay ayam. Why do you think it's such a staple?
Chicken is affordable, quick to cook, and takes on flavor so well. From grilled skewers to fried pieces, there's always a chicken option, and it's usually crowd-pleasing.
It's also easy to share. Passing around a plate of satay, everyone gets a taste.
I keep coming back to how delicious and cheap everything was. Does that combo change how you experience a meal?
Absolutely! When food is both tasty and affordable, you feel free to try more dishes, take risks, and really savor the experience. It makes eating out a daily adventure instead of a rare treat.
Honestly, it's so satisfying to discover flavors you love without breaking the bank.
Was there a dish or moment that surprised you? Something you didn't expect to love?
I wasn't sure about the combination of sweet soy sauce and chili on nasi goreng, but it totally worked. The balance between sweet, spicy, and umami blew me away.
Funny you say that. I thought I'd only want the satay, but the fried rice ended up stealing the show for me.
There's something unique about eating on the street, right? The smells, the sights. You're just part of the city's rhythm.
Exactly. You're side by side with locals, maybe perched on a tiny stool, and the food almost always tastes better with that atmosphere.
Plus, the energy is infectious. Every warung has its loyal regulars and their own take on the classics.
Did you pick up any ordering tricks while we were there?
A little. Learning just a few words like nasi for rice, ayam for chicken, and pedazes for spicy makes a big difference. Smiling and pointing at what others are eating helps too.
That's how I ended up trying things I couldn't even pronounce, and most of the time, it paid off.
Do you think knowing the food vocabulary changed your experience?
Definitely. Once you understand the basics, you feel more in control and adventurous. You can spot what you want faster and surprise yourself by trying something new.
Sometimes it even leads to fun conversations with the people running the warung they love, seeing you try their favorites.
If you had one more meal, what would your dream Indonesian plate include?
Definitely a big scoop of nasi goreng, a couple of satay ayam skewers, and a dollop of that spicy sambal on the side. Maybe some crispy crackers too.
Now, I'm honestly starving. Toss in some iced sweet tea and I'm set.
Let's wrap up with 3 things everyone should remember. First, knowing words like nasi and ayam unlocks the menu and the adventure. Second, the best food often comes from humble warangs. Third, don't fear the spice, just ask for what you can handle.
If you're listening and planning to try Indonesian food, here's your next step. Be bold, order something new, and don't forget to savor every bite.
That's our episode. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey. Until next time, happy eating.
Picture this. We leave the cool green forest behind, and suddenly we're stepping onto warm, golden sand. The switch from trees to the open beach in Seminyak felt like stepping into another world.
It's true. That sand was so soft between our toes. And then there was the ocean so blue, it almost didn't look real. I remember the first thing I wanted to do was just run into the waves.
What hit me first was the sound. The waves crashing over and over, kind of hypnotic. I could have watched them for hours.
I know exactly what you mean. The ocean always draws you in with that steady rhythm, and the way the sunlight hit the water made everything sparkle. It set the whole mood for that afternoon.
Jumping into that water was like a shock at first, so refreshing. Did you notice how the waves got bigger the further out we swam?
Oh, I definitely noticed. There was this one wave that almost knocked me off my feet. But honestly, it added to the fun. Swimming there just felt different. Maybe because the ocean is so open and wild.
Walking along the beach, I kept stopping to let the sand slip through my fingers. There's something so grounding about it, even with all the noise around.
And did you see all the little shells scattered everywhere? I kept picking them up, thinking I'd find the perfect one to take home. The sand there just felt alive somehow.
When the sun started setting, the whole sky turned this amazing orange, almost like someone set it on fire. I just stood there, not wanting to blink.
That color! It was like the sky couldn't decide between orange and purple. So it did both. I snapped so many photos, but none of them really caught the feeling of being there.
That evening at the beach club was unforgettable. Sitting there, listening to music with the sunset in the background, total perfection.
It felt like time slowed down, didn't it? Everyone just relaxed into their seats, drinks in hand, and watched the orange sky melt into night. I wish every day ended like that.
After we watched those surfers, I just had to try it. But wow, I didn't expect the waves to be so powerful. I spent more time under the water than on the board.
Same here. I thought I'd be able to stand up right away, but those waves had other plans. Still, even falling was fun because the ocean was so warm.
What surprised me most was how unpredictable the waves were. 1 minute, smooth and gentle. The next, they'd come crashing in.
That unpredictability is what made surfing such a rush, though. I could see why people get hooked. It's like every wave is a new challenge.
All those new words we picked up like current, tide, and breakers suddenly made sense when you're right there in the water.
Exactly. And hearing the instructors talk about paddling out or catching a wave just sounded cooler than anything in a classroom. The ocean really becomes your teacher.
People make surfing look effortless, but balancing on that board was tough. My arms felt like jelly after just 20 minutes.
And don't get me started on timing. Trying to catch a wave at the right moment is way harder than it seems on TV. I gained a whole new respect for surfers.
I'll admit falling off the board over and over got me laughing more than frustrated. Each wipeout felt like its own little victory somehow.
That's the best part, isn't it? The ocean just keeps rolling, and you get to try again. It's impossible to take yourself too seriously with salt water up your nose.
Swimming felt peaceful, but surfing turned the ocean into a playground, totally different energy. Did you feel that shift too?
Definitely. Swimming is almost meditative, but surfing is pure adrenaline. The waves push you to stay alert and keep moving. Both are such great ways to connect with the ocean.
As the last bit of orange faded from the sky, it was so quiet. I loved just lying back and watching the first stars pop out over the waves.
That was the perfect ending, waves whispering, cool sand beneath us, and the ocean stretching out into the darkness. Those moments stick with you.
Let's wrap it up with 3 big takeaways. First, the ocean is way more powerful and beautiful than you expect. Second, learning something new like surfing can be tough but so rewarding. Third, sunsets by the water create memories you just can't get anywhere else.
And here's our next step for listeners. Get outside and try a new ocean activity, whether it's just swimming, walking barefoot in the sand, or booking that first surf lesson. Who knows what moments you'll get to keep?
Ever had that moment where you spot something so unique at a market, you just know you can't leave without it? That was me in Ubud.
I love that. Hey everyone, I'm Lily, and I'm here with Chloe. Today we're diving into the colorful world of Bali's Ubud art market.
You're going to hear not just our favorite souvenirs, but real tips on how to find a great price, bargain politely, and why Bali's markets are perfect for newbies.
Plus, we'll cover what makes gifts from these markets so memorable, and wrap up with why Bali is the ultimate beginner's destination. Let's jump in.
Stepping into the market, I felt like I was entering a maze of color. Every stall was overflowing with bags, scarves, and art.
I had the same feeling. There's something about the energy there, with shopkeepers smiling and tourists weaving around, that makes it feel alive and welcoming.
And the smells, fresh flowers, incense, and sometimes a whiff of spicy street food. It's sensory overload in the best way.
Honestly, I think that's why it's so easy to get caught up and want to buy everything in sight.
Let's talk about those famous rattan bags. I picked up a round one and immediately imagined using it back home.
I kept seeing people with them so stylish, but also practical. I went for handmade silver jewelry instead, but the temptation was real.
I think the best part is knowing it's not just a bag, it's a piece of Bali, something you can carry memories in.
That's exactly how I feel about my silver ring. Every time I put it on, I remember the whole trip.
So, let's be honest, were you nervous about bargaining? I was worried I'd offend someone.
A little, but once I saw how friendly the sellers were, it felt more like a game. I just smiled and asked, "Is this your best price?"
That line is magic. I tried it too, and sometimes they would laugh and knock a little off the price.
Exactly. It's almost expected. But if you're polite and a bit playful, it's a win for everyone.
One thing I loved was picking gifts for family. My mom got a scarf, and my brother got a carved wooden turtle.
Handmade gifts just mean more, don't they? I brought home little jewelry boxes for my friends. Now they ask about Bali all the time.
It's special because you can share a piece of your trip with someone else. Way better than a fridge magnet.
And let's be honest, a market find always has a better story behind it.
Let's pause for our vocab spotlight. The words today: Market, price, gift, cheap, and memories kept coming up for a reason.
Totally. The market is where everything happens. Price is what you negotiate. Gifts are what you bring home. And cheap, well, we love a good deal.
And memories? That's what really lasts, long after the souvenirs are packed away.
I like to think every item you buy there is a memory in disguise.
I kept hearing it's so cheap, but sometimes I wondered, are we just getting used to Bali prices?
I noticed that too. Compared to home, $10 for a handmade bag is wild. But for locals, that might not feel cheap at all.
It's a good reminder to appreciate the craft, not just the price tag.
Totally agree. It's about supporting artists and getting something with real value, not just a low cost.
Let's get practical. How do you actually ask for a lower price without being rude?
For me, it's all about smiling and using simple questions, like, could you do a little cheaper? Or, what's your best price? Always with a friendly tone.
I found that if you start with a compliment, your work is beautiful. It sets a good mood before you mention price.
That's a great tip. Respect goes a long way in these markets.
Have you ever felt like you just didn't want to bargain anymore? Sometimes the price just feels fair.
Definitely. If I love something and the seller seems genuine, I'll pay what they ask. It's about balance.
And sometimes, after a little friendly back and forth, I'm just happy to support their work.
Exactly. The real win is walking away with something you love and a good story about how you got it.
It's funny, some of my best memories are just sitting and chatting with the sellers, hearing about their craft.
I've had the same experience. Once, a woman showed me how she wove the bag I was buying, and it made me cherish it so much more.
That connection makes the trip unforgettable. It's more than just shopping, it's sharing a moment.
It's why markets like Ubud's become highlights of any Bali adventure.
So, do you think Bali is a good place for first-time travelers? I'd say yes, mostly because of how easy and friendly the markets are.
I think so too. There's help everywhere, sellers are patient, and the vibe is relaxed. So even someone new to bargaining can jump in.
Plus, English is widely spoken in tourist spots, so you're never too lost.
And with so many choices, there's really something for everyone, even if you're just window shopping.
All right, confession time. Did you ever get totally lost in the market aisles? I once ended up in the same stall 3 times.
That's hilarious! I kept bumping into the same dog lounging under a table. Pretty sure he was the real boss of the market.
He should have his own stall, Pet the Market Dog, 10,000 rupiah.
I'd pay for that, honestly. Sometimes it's those silly moments that stay with you longest.
Let's talk logistics. How did you pack everything? I was terrified my wooden bag would get squished.
I wrapped my jewelry in socks and tucked them deep in my backpack. The sellers gave me extra wrapping, which helped a lot.
Good tip. Bubble wrap and soft clothes make perfect padding, plus, it's like opening gifts again when you unpack.
Unpacking is half the fun. Each piece you unwrap is a little rush of Bali memories all over again.
If we go back, I'm bringing an extra bag just for souvenirs. I underestimated how much I'd want to bring home.
Same here. And I'd practice my bargaining skills a bit more, maybe learn a few words in Bahasa, Indonesia.
That's clever. It always feels good to try and connect, even if your accent is terrible.
Plus, it makes the whole experience more personal for both you and the sellers.
Time to wrap up. So here are our top 3 takeaways. First, Bali's markets are packed with unique gifts that create lasting memories.
Second, polite bargaining isn't just okay, it's part of the fun, as long as you keep it friendly and respectful.
Third, Bali is a fantastic place for first-time travelers, with welcoming locals and a chill vibe that takes the pressure off.
If you're listening and planning a trip, here's your action step. Go to a market, talk to the sellers, and pick out one souvenir that truly speaks to you.
Thanks for joining us and sharing in our Bali memories. Until next time, keep exploring.
Bye everyone! Hope you find your own favorite market soon.